Blood on the Prairie, The Legend of Wyatt Earp. Prologue. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the parched earth of Tombstone, Arizona. Dust swirled like ghosts in the fading light, and the air was thick with the scent of gunpowder and impending doom. In this unforgiving land, where the wind howled like a wounded beast, a storm was brewing, one that would pit the forces of good against the ruthless tide of evil. Chapter 1: The Calm Before the Storm. Wyatt Earp stood tall, a figure carved from the very bones of the frontier. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned the bustling streets of Tombstone. Clad in black, with a silver star gleaming on his chest, he was the law in a town teetering on the brink of chaos. With a reputation as solid as the granite mountains, Wyatt was known not just for his quick draw, but for his unwavering sense of justice. As he strolled past the Silver Dollar Saloon, the raucous laughter and clinking glasses faded into the background. His heart was heavy, for he knew trouble was afoot. Rumors whispered of a notorious outlaw, Black Jack McGraw, a man whose heart was as dark as the coal that fueled the trains rumbling through the territory. Black Jack had his sights set on more than just gold. He craved power, and he would stop at nothing to claim it. Chapter 2: The Damsel in Distress. Amidst the chaos, there was a light, a delicate flower in a field of thorns. Clara Mae, the town school teacher, was known for her kind heart and fiery spirit. With hair the color of spun gold and eyes that sparkled like the stars above, she was the very embodiment of hope in a world steeped in despair. But hope can be a fragile thing, and Black Jack saw her as a prize worth capturing. One fateful night, as the moon hung high like a silver dollar, Black Jack and his gang stormed the schoolhouse. With a heart as cold as the steel of his revolver, he kidnapped Clara Mae, leaving behind a trail of destruction and despair. The town erupted in fear, and Wyatt felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Chapter 3: The Call to Arms. Wyatt gathered a posse of brave souls, each man willing to risk life and limb for the sake of justice. They rode into the night, a band of brothers forged in the fires of loyalty and courage. The moonlight glinted off their guns, a chorus of promises whispered in the wind. "Let's ride, boys. We'll bring back that flower, or we'll die trying." Wyatt's voice was like thunder, igniting a fire in their hearts. They galloped through the desert, dust rising like specters behind them, each man steeling himself for the inevitable showdown. Chapter 4: The Gunfight at the Corral. The showdown came at dawn, the sky painted in hues of crimson and gold. The Corral stood silent, a witness to the bloodshed that was about to unfold. Black Jack and his gang awaited, their eyes glinting with malice, ready to spill the blood of the innocent. Wyatt stepped forward, his hand resting on the grip of his revolver, a calm amidst the storm. "This ends now, Black Jack. Release her, or face the wrath of the law." His voice rang out, echoing against the walls of the corral. With a guttural growl, Black Jack drew first, but Wyatt was faster. A shot rang out, splitting the morning air like a clap of thunder. The gunfight erupted, a symphony of violence and chaos. Bullets flew like angry wasps, and the ground soaked up the blood of the fallen. Chapter 5: The Reckoning. In the heat of battle, Wyatt fought like a demon unleashed. Each shot was precise, each movement a dance of death. His heart raced as he fought not just for Clara Mae, but for the soul of the town. The air was thick with gunpowder and the cries of the wounded. Finally, it came down to Wyatt and Black Jack, two titans clashing in a brutal ballet. With a final, desperate shot, Wyatt found his mark. Black Jack crumpled to the ground, a shadow of his former self, the darkness of his soul extinguished. Chapter 6: A New Dawn. As the sun rose, casting a golden glow over the blood-soaked earth, Wyatt stood victorious. He had reclaimed Clara Mae, who rushed into his arms, her tears mingling with the dust of the prairie. The town of Tombstone breathed a sigh of relief, for justice had prevailed, and the light had triumphed over darkness. But in the heart of the frontier, the echoes of gunfire would always linger, a reminder of the thin line between order and chaos. Wyatt Earp, the hero of the West, would forever be etched in the annals of history, a legend born from bloodshed, bravery, and the unyielding spirit of the American frontier. As the sun set on another day in Tombstone, Wyatt knew that peace was but a fleeting illusion. The frontier was a wild beast, and he was its reluctant keeper. With Clara Mae by his side, he rode into the sunset, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, for the West was a land of dreams, blood, and the unbreakable bond of justice. Chapter 7: Shadows of the Past. As Wyatt and Clara Mae rode side by side, the dust settled like a shroud over Tombstone. Yet, the taste of victory was bittersweet. Whispers of Black Jack's gang still lingered in the air, like smoke from a dying fire. The remnants of the Outlaws' crew scattered into the wilderness, vowing revenge against the man who had brought their leader down. Wyatt felt the weight of their threat pressing upon him. He had faced many foes, but an enemy who had tasted defeat was often the most dangerous. Clara Mae, ever perceptive, sensed his unease. "Wyatt, what troubles you?" she asked, her voice a soothing balm against the harshness of the world. "Black Jack's death may have silenced one storm, but I fear others are brewing," he replied, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "A snake struck once will often strike again." Chapter 8: The Gathering Storm. Days turned into weeks, and life in Tombstone resumed its rhythm. But the peace was fragile. Rumors spread like wildfire about a new outlaw rising from the ashes of Black Jack's reign, a man known only as Red Hand, notorious for his ruthlessness and cunning. He was said to be gathering a band of outlaws, intent on avenging Black Jack and claiming Tombstone for himself. One evening, as Wyatt sat in the Silver Dollar Saloon, nursing a whiskey and listening to the chatter around him, a stranger walked in. Clad in a long duster and a wide-brimmed hat, he exuded an air of danger. The saloon fell silent, eyes drawn to the newcomer. "Wyatt Earp?" the man asked, his voice low and gravelly. Wyatt stood, his instincts on high alert. "That's me." "What do you want?" "One come with a warning. Red Hand is coming for you, Up. He's got a score to settle, and he won't rest until he sees your blood on the ground," the stranger said, his eyes glinting like shards of glass. Chapter 9: The Calm Before the Second Storm. The days that followed were filled with tension. Wyatt prepared for the inevitable confrontation, gathering his loyal friends and allies. Clara Mae, ever courageous, insisted on helping. "Elle won't be a damsel waiting to be rescued again, Wyatt. I want to stand by your side," she declared, her spirit unyielding. Wyatt admired her determination but worried for her safety. "This ain't no place for a lady, Clara. It's going to get ugly," he cautioned. "Then let me be ugly with you," she replied, a fierce spark in her eyes. Together, they strategized. Wyatt knew the layout of Tombstone like the back of his hand. They would set traps, prepare the townsfolk, and stand united against the storm that was Red Hand. Chapter 10: The Final Showdown. The day of reckoning arrived, the air thick with anticipation. The townsfolk gathered, armed with rifles and courage, ready to defend their home. Wyatt stood at the forefront, Clara Mae by his side, her resolve shining like a beacon. As the sun dipped low, casting an orange glow over the dusty streets, Red Hand and his gang rode into town, a dark cloud of menace. They dismounted, swaggering with an arrogance born of bloodlust. Red Hand, tall and imposing, scanned the crowd, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "Wyatt Earp," he bellowed. "You took my brother, and now I'm here to take your life." Wyatt stepped forward, his voice steady. "You'll find no mercy here, Red Hand. This town stands united against your kind." With a roar, the gunfight erupted. Bullets sang through the air, and the sound of gunfire echoed like thunder rolling across the plains. Wyatt moved with the precision of a hawk, each shot finding its mark. Clara Mae fought bravely alongside him, her aim true as she defended the townsfolk. Chapter 11: Blood and Honor. The battle raged on, chaos enveloping them like a storm. Wyatt and Red Hand faced off amidst the chaos, two warriors locked in a deadly dance. Dust swirled around them, and blood stained the earth. "Your time is up, Up!" Red Hand shouted, drawing his revolver with a speed that could rival lightning. But Wyatt was quicker, his heart fueled by the love for his town and Clara Mae. With a single shot, he struck true, and Red Hand fell, his reign of terror extinguished. As the dust settled, the townsfolk emerged from their hiding places, a mix of relief and sorrow washing over them. The bodies of the fallen lay scattered, a grim reminder of the price of freedom. Chapter 12, The Aftermath. In the days following the battle, Tombstone mourned its losses but celebrated its survival. Wyatt and Clara Mae stood together, their bond stronger than ever. They had faced darkness and emerged into the light, but the scars of battle remained. "Wyatt, do you think this will ever end?" Clara asked, her voice tinged with sadness. "Outlaws will always rise, but so will those who stand against them." "We must remain vigilant," he replied, pulling her close. "Together, we'll keep this town safe." As they looked out over Tombstone, the sun setting behind the mountains, they knew that their fight was far from over. The frontier was wild, but as long as they stood together, they would face whatever came next, armed with love, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of the West. Years later, the legend of Wyatt Earp and Clara Mae would be told around campfires and in saloons across the frontier. Their story became a symbol of hope, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dared to stand against the darkness. In the heart of the Wild West, where the wind whispered tales of bravery and bloodshed, the names of Wyatt Earp and Clara Mae would forever echo, a reminder that even in the harshest of lands, love and justice could conquer all. Chapter 13, A New Threat. As seasons changed and years passed, the dust of Tombstone settled into a semblance of peace. Wyatt Earp had become a legend, his exploits woven into the fabric of the frontier. Clara Mae, now a pillar of the community, taught the children of Tombstone, instilling in them the values of courage and honor. But the West had a way of stirring trouble from the shadows. One fateful evening, as Wyatt and Clara sat on their porch, sipping sweet tea under the fading light, a rider approached, a silhouette against the setting sun, dust swirling around him like a shroud. "Wyatt Earp," the rider called, urgency lacing his voice. "You need to come quick. There's talk of a new gang forming, led by a man named the Viper. He's gathering men, and they're headed this way." Wyatt's brow furrowed. "What do we know about this Viper?" "He's ruthless, a snake in the grass. They say he's got a score to settle with you," the rider warned, his eyes wide with fear. Clara Mae's heart raced. "Wyatt, we can't let them threaten our home again." Chapter 14, The Gathering Storm. Determined to protect Tombstone, Wyatt called upon the townsfolk. Old friends, new faces, and even those who had once been enemies gathered in the town square, united by a common purpose. Wyatt stood before them, his voice steady and resolute. "Folks, we've faced darkness before, and we've emerged victorious. But this Viper is cunning, and we must be ready. We'll set traps, watch the roads, and stand together. We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for our families, our future." The townsfolk cheered, a wave of determination washing over them. Clara Mae, standing at Wyatt's side, felt a surge of pride for the community they had built together. Chapter 15, The Showdown. At dawn the night felt heavy with anticipation. As dawn broke, the air crackled with tension. Wyatt and Clara prepared for the confrontation, knowing the stakes were higher than ever. They positioned themselves at strategic points around the town, eyes peeled for any sign of the approaching gang. As the sun peeked over the horizon, casting a golden hue over Tombstone, the sound of galloping hooves echoed in the distance. The Viper and his gang rode in, a dark cloud of menace against the vibrant sky. "Wyatt Earp!" The Viper's voice slithered through the air like poison. "I've come to collect what's mine." Wyatt stepped forward, his hand resting on his revolver. "You'll find no easy pickings here, Viper. This is our town, and we won't back down." Chapter 16, The Final Confrontation. The gunfight erupted with a ferocity that rattled the very bones of the earth. Bullets whizzed past, and the air filled with the acrid scent of gunpowder. Wyatt fought with the heart of a lion, each shot echoing his resolve. Clara Mae, armed and fierce, held her ground, defending the townsfolk with unwavering courage. In the midst of chaos, Wyatt found himself face to face with the Viper. The man was as slippery as his name suggested, dodging bullets with a grace that was unnerving. But Wyatt was determined. He had faced too many threats to falter now. With a final, decisive shot, Wyatt struck true, and the Viper fell, his reign of terror snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The remaining gang members, realizing their leader was defeated, fled into the desert, leaving Tombstone in peace once more. Chapter 17, A Town Reborn. As the dust settled and the echoes of gunfire faded, the townsfolk emerged from their hiding places, relief washing over them. Wyatt and Clara stood together, their hands clasped tightly, hearts swelling with pride for what they had accomplished. The town gathered to celebrate their victory, laughter and joy mingling with the lingering tension of battle. Wyatt looked around, seeing the faces of those he had fought to protect, friends, neighbors, and family. Today, we've shown that we are stronger together, he declared, raising a glass. Let us never forget the price of our freedom and the bonds that unite us. Epilogue, The Legacy of the West. As the sun set over Tombstone, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Wyatt and Clara Mae knew that their fight was far from over. The West was a land of both beauty and danger, where legends were born from bloodshed and bravery. Years later, the tales of Wyatt Earp and Clara Mae would be told around campfires, their legacy etched into the history of the frontier. They became symbols of hope, courage, and love in a land that often tested the limits of the human spirit. In the heart of the Wild West, where the wind whispered tales of heroes and villains, Wyatt and Clara stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in the end, it was not just about the battles fought or the blood shed, but the enduring spirit of those who dared to stand for what was right. And thus, the legend lived on, a testament to the unyielding heart of the American frontier. Join the adventure with the Western echoes, Cowboy Tales Unleashed. If you're loving our cowboy stories and captivating tales, don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button to stay updated on all our future posts. Saddle up and ride along with us.